amazing team. I have an amazing team, and I love seeing the little people. I know that my age will probably age out because I can't run as fast as they can anymore. So I think what I think about is how can I would love to go under like the policies and writing bills with different senators as far as kind of helping, especially the different communities in my North Omaha community.
Mhm.
What I've noticed in just being in different seats and different tables is that there are bills that are developed, but not voices of the people developing or helping developing those bills. And so I see myself being a community advocate with just helping with the early childhood realm of making sure that wages are needed and can we get teachers paid really well as childcare providers and or owners, just so that the field, we are essential. And just knowing that if we can just pour into early childhood, life will be better. If we can pay teachers and just people in the field of education as well as they pay coaches and or athletes, oh, we will have the world at like we will have the best nation possible. But until then, definitely deciding on my next, I think that I would love, if I had my dream job, I would love to travel internationally to different places as I'm dreaming big and trying to help and understand like the different ways of education and then bringing that back here to the States. Advice I would give you is to never stop learning. I mentioned that earlier. This is a field that's ever evolving. I remember being in your seats and in your shoes just as a student. I know sometimes we can't see past the day, but just understand that your future is what you make it. And you are all brilliant women. I don't know if there's any men here, but I just want to say you are brilliant women because you're taking a class here and learning from each of us. And so I, again, applaud you for making it this far, but we have some work to do. And I'm excited for you all to be a part of this great field.
Well, thank you so much, Nicole, for one, telling us about your future goals for yourself, and then some great advice for the undergraduates. And what about you, Lindsay? If you could share what your future goals are and then give some advice to the undergraduates here, that would be great. Thank you so much, Nicole.
Yeah, as I said earlier, I have kind of lived my life going where the field has needed me. And I really don't right now have a career path or goal ahead of me. I love where I'm at Tulsa Educare. I feel that I am exactly where I need to be right now, that the work we are doing is so incredibly important, and that I will be here as long as they need me to be here. That right there is my plan, is to be here as long as they need me to be. I'm super interested in continuing and furthering my knowledge base of working to improve outcomes in children in underserved populations. That's a lot of the work I did in my undergrad, just really working to understand what produces about best outcomes, how we can provide the best learning environment for those children and families. Early childhood has a huge high turnover rate. Our teachers leave at an incredibly high rate, and we pay better than public school. So yes, pay is still not great, but it's better than public school systems. And so I am really thinking through what is it that we can do to better entice individuals to stay in the field of early childhood. How can we produce teachers that stay with the same children for multiple years to really grow those relationships and build that connection with those teachers? Because I do think that that is the foundation of helping provide a stable foundation for those children to better produce outcomes for those children. Tulsa Educare is involved in a lot of national research and data, and it's super exciting and interesting to see what's coming out of these long range research projects, trajectories from children that started at an early Head Start center like CAP or UCAP, Oklahoma City Educare, Tulsa Educare, wherever they're at, to see how children from an agency that's heavily invested in the family and child dynamic is producing pretty good outcomes when children go to public school. So that's really exciting to be a part of. And I'm along for the ride, wherever that takes me. I think for advice, find what you're passionate about, find others that are in that field. Don't be afraid to reach out to people that you want to be around, right? Find mentors that you want to talk to. I was probably too shy at times. I wish that when I was younger that I would have been more bold and reached out sooner and made connections with individuals. That's one facet about early childhood that's different than like a business sector, right? We are so friendly. We want to give our knowledge to everybody. So never hesitate to reach out to anybody that you think might have the answers for you or might have a career path for you, because we are all so giving of what we have. We want everyone to be at the table. And so that would be my advice for you, to find what you're passionate about, whether it be working with children, working with families, owning your own center, working as an executive director. There are plenty of places for you at the table. We need everyone there. And there are plenty of us here that are willing to help you get to where you want to go.
That's wonderful. That's some really great advice. And it's just so interesting that all of you mentioned, just the nature of early childhood is like we try to be giving people. And I know some students today had that conversation. And one thing I had said was, make sure, we advocate for children, but make sure you're advocating for yourself too. And it's okay to speak up. I know you mentioned you were very shy and it's very hard, but say, if it's something you want to accomplish, go for it. But thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm going to go to April. If you could share what your future goals are and then some advice that you would have for our undergraduates.
So my 5-year plan right now is, yay, I got offered the therapist position with Oklahoma City Public Schools. And I plan to work there and get experience under my belt. I do one day want to open up my own personal therapist, my own company, and educate families and work with children as I have been doing. Nothing changed, just a different position, but the passion I have for this, there's no title that could be put on me that will not still allow me to do the work that I'm passionate about doing. So keep that in mind. I would tell the graduates to network. Network is a big thing. A lot of the opportunities I've had has been from people that I network through. And so networking is a big thing. Another thing is, don't put yourself in a box. This early childhood degree can take you above and beyond. There's no one thing you can do. When whatever it is dealing with families and children, you can do it. It's something within your degree. It's something you're going to have expertise on. So go for it. And just continue to prevail. Like Oklahoma City, other states where the other ladies are, like, they need us. Like, the children need us. This field need us. So just do it, network, and just remember, like, if it has to do with families, you are an expert in that degree, or that job. So just keep going.
Well, thank you so much to each of the panelists for sharing your future goals and for also giving the undergraduates some wonderful advice. In this part of our session, we're going to turn it over to the students, and we're going to let the students share with you, where they see themselves in a few years, or any question they may have about the field. And I have a student here, Kayla. This is Kayla, everyone. And she has, just like all of our students who are joining us today, such a dynamic path and vision of where she sees herself. when she finishes school and the career that she is going to choose for herself. So she's going to share a little bit about that. And then then she'll have any questions about, how she can make it happen for herself.
Okay.
Let me know if you can hear her, okay? Because she talks soft.
And then I got my notes here
Okay.
because I do have the habit of forgetting my major points.
Can you
but
hear her?
No.
You guys, you might have to come up here, huh?
Okay, I gotta take this with me though.
Okay.
All right. Hi, I'm Kayla. I'm also kind of shy a little bit, so bear with me, please. You hear me?
Can you hear Kayla okay?
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm Kayla. I'm a nursing major and a child development minor here at Langston. My plans for the future are to open a few family clinics with my with nursing. I first plan to I think I want to go back home and work at UCLA in one of the pediatric clinics that they have. More specifically, probably the ones in West LA, because that's the ones that I grew up going to, and I resonate with the people there a little bit more. But after that, I do plan on going into travel nursing and kind of taking my experience in, learning the different communities and all the different things that I've learned from there and bringing them back here, no matter if it's international or just within the nation that we currently stay in. And then from there, I plan to open a few family clinics to kind of bring my resources back to my community, giving back to like low income families and stuff, making ways for them to not necessarily have to pay everything in full. Because you know how some people, when they don't necessarily have insurance that covers everything that they need coverage for, we can work on giving them like a payment plan or what have you, working on, getting different resources that can help them pay for their medical expenses and things like that, especially for people of, color, things like that. And then I also plan on getting certified to be a doula after I'm all done with my nursing stuff. So I will be providing prepartum and postpartum doula services all over, along with a few other things. I also plan to get into holistic healing. I know I got a lot going on, sorry, but I'm on a mission to change the world slowly but surely. So this is just, a few steps. Yeah, just kind of providing a few things that are desperately needed. And allowing people and their, their families and kids to have a safe space where they can feel comfortable coming to get like advice on what resources they can utilize to get transportation, funding for like food, if they're what's the word? We talked about it in one of our classes. I can't think of the word right now though, but it's like a food insecurity, things like that. Yeah, kind of. To manage their everyday lives, because sometimes people, they don't always know where they can go to get help for things like that. Yeah, I want to provide a place where people can get quality care, feel free of judgment if they have the inability to provide insurance or payments up front. I talked about the payment plans that won't necessarily be drastically detrimental to them being able to provide for their families. And yeah, somewhere they can even come to seek connections for work opportunities, whether they be internships in like positions that they want to be in eventually once they're, they get through the proper certifications and things like that. They can do some shadow work, or I could even put them, in the position to be connected with people that I know who are a part of things that they, they got passions for. Sorry, I couldn't find the words.
And you have any questions for any of the panelists with your goals? The networking.
Yeah, I do have trouble kind of connecting with people sometimes because I am more closed off. I guess I would be considered to be an introverted extrovert. Like once I get comfortable and I start talking, it's easy for me to get into the flow of things, but it is hard for me to start it off. I guess I have some questions about how you would go about connecting with people at first when you get started into doing things.
So any one of the panelists, she has a huge, wonderful
does.
vision. It's
And
dynamic.
I just love the passionate vision that you have for yourself in this long-term journey of helping save the world and not taking any crumbs. So I appreciate that. One of the things I was going to tell you is I think sometimes you got to be comfortable to step out and talk, because I think one of the reserved things for all of us is scared of how to ask what questions, and in addition to the response that you might get. But one thing I can tell you is if you have not got a chance to get on LinkedIn, there are so many different opportunities on LinkedIn to network with different people. In addition, I don't know if that's a social media platform that you would like to utilize, but it's a professional platform. In addition to seeking out people that are in the field that you can kind of talk to. Me personally, I don't know anyone, but maybe the other ladies on the panel can, direct you into that. Maybe they know someone, but it's all about connecting people maybe that are childhood friends. Like I know I had a lot of different opportunities to sit down with just my family friends and just talk about just different things that I would like to do. And they were able to connect me with other people too. So just look into your own village of people that you surround yourself with, and or if there's no one there, then I would say tap into maybe LinkedIn, or even people or agencies that you wouldn't mind working with and talking with someone there to see if they have someone that you can basically direct a lot of those questions to. But good job, and good luck in your future endeavors. That's awesome.
Can you tell me your name again?
I'm Kayla Wiseman Smith.
Kayla?
Yes.
Okay. I could have used you as a doula a few months ago, but there's that. But I do want to connect you to somebody who is on your exact path. The only difference is she's not a working nurse, but she is a nurse manager where I am. She's also a certified doula. She's helped me start a clinic in my Head Start program, because you won't find it in a lot of schools, but we actually are hiring a nurse as we speak for a clinic. So I will give Dr. Young my contact information, and please reach out to me, and I will give you her phone number and name, and she will be more than happy to not just communicate with you, but sort of help you along your journey.
Definitely will. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Kayla, I just wanted to share that, like Miss Hawkins, I have a friend and she is a traveling nurse and she's a doula. She's currently in Africa right now, but she will be back next month. And so I will reach out to Miss Young for her information as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for answering Kayla's questions. And I'm going to open up for the other participants as well. If you have a question for anyone in the panelists, what your journey, what your vision for yourself looks like in early childhood, just unmute yourselves and jump right in, please.
Hello. My name is Nisha, and I'm a child development major, and I'm planning to open my own therapy center. And I think one of my questions, if I'm not mistaken, I heard one of you ladies, you also planned on doing the same thing. One of my main questions would just be, as a future and inspiring therapist, would you recommend, I don't think I would say would you recommend, but do you think taking therapy for yourself too is also a good idea? Because I'm a really big fan of that, but I just, because I want to open my own center, I just want to learn. Do you have any recommendations on how to balance the two?
Thank you, Nisha.
I will say, since I started even being a school counselor at the elementary, was something totally different for me. And I'm not going to lie, within the second week, I was just like, am I going to be able to do this? This is a lot. It's a lot for me to take in. And then to know that those kids live with that type of environment, it weighs on you. And so one of the recommendations was that the counselors have their own therapists as well, to be able to balance your own life, and then the things that balance and trying to help balance in the children's life and those families, it weighs on you. And I want to say the first month of working there, I'm very hands-on with my kiddos and my family, and I had nothing to give them at the end of the day, and that weighed on me. And so I would definitely recommend you get a therapist prior to even becoming a therapist, so that you get that balance of how to balance life and work at the same time. So absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Can I add something to that? So you guys know how much I love podcasts. And so I'm in like this advanced degree of just listening to podcasts, because that's what I do in my spare time. But Nisha, one of the things that I listen to a lot of people who are therapists. And one of the things that they say is don't trust a therapist who doesn't have a therapist. And so I think, you know, it connects with what April was saying, is that you have to be able to have a space that you can, you know, to fill you up, to be able to help you navigate the things that people are going to be sharing with you. It sounds like there's a lot that you'll hear and have to process, and being able to have somebody to help you deal with your own personal stuff, as well as some of the things professionally. I think having a therapist would be a good route to take. And just as a side note, anybody who's been in my class, y'all know how much I advocate for therapy. I have been in therapy. I've seen the benefits of it. Leah talked about how I almost, you know, had some choice words for her when she was my supervisor. But now that I'm in therapy, nobody, you hear me? Nobody is getting those choice words. So, so I encourage you guys to definitely, regardless of the career path, whether it's in there as a therapist, or just even in the field of early childhood, we're exposed to a lot of stuff. So I would definitely encourage you guys to get a therapist.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dr. Young. Well received.
Because I had classes. I'd be busy.
All
I'd be
right.
home.
If someone could mute their mic.
Sorry, mute your phone.
Yeah, if you could mute.
Oh, my
mute
bad.
your phone. Sorry.
Sorry, I'm quiet.
Okay, and is there anyone else in the participants who would like to ask a question of our wonderful panel?
I did.
Panel. All right, Ambry.
In what moment did you know that this was the career that you wanted to pursue?
Okay, why don't we start with Ms. Asher?
I knew
that moment.
I knew as a child that I wanted to work with other children. I was the strange kid that was always asking my teachers to bring home like the extra worksheets, because I wanted to like pretend to be a teacher at home. And my parents were very cool about letting me, like, my door in my house, like they let me make it like a classroom door, like they let me cover it in paper and make it look like a school classroom door. I knew very early on that I wanted to work with children. I think I first probably thought that I wanted to be like elementary school age. So that first time as like a 17, 18-year-old kiddo, where I held an infant toddler, and I was like, this is really what I want to do. I really want to work with these really young kiddos. I was probably 17 or 18 years old. I knew that I could spend my whole life doing that. I can hold the baby every day, all day, and love it.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Anyone else want to speak to that question?
I was going to say I was probably 4 when I knew. Me and my sister, I was always the principal teacher. She had to be the student. My mom was a principal. My dad was a teacher. So it's been a part of my family, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you're supposed to do. But when you have a niche for something and it just keeps tugging at you and it won't go away, that's when you know that that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. All righty. Well, thank you very much. And thank you, Ambry, for asking that question. And we're going to go to the other participants to see if you could unmute yourself and ask a question of our fantastic panel.
I have a question.
Yes, Avon. Go ahead, Avon.
Hi, my name is Avantini Adams. I'm from California. I'm a psychology major, but I'm also a child development minor. So my question is kind of specifically for Mrs. Anderson. Sorry, it's in my notes. My question is, what master's program would you recommend for me to take in order to further my career as a school counselor, but also be able to do social work as well? Because I know I definitely do want to start like in school districts and working with kids as a school counselor, but I know I also want to further my career doing social work and working in juvenile halls to be able to counsel and be an advocate for them as well. So I'm trying to figure out what path should I take in order to, fulfill both.
Yes, kind of like Miss Young was saying, once again, to get into the school system, you need that certification. And so to be a school counselor, you'll need that certification as well. So if you wanted to go within the school side of it, you'll have to get the certification. And then the other side of what you wanted to your master's in psychology is wonderful. Like you could start there just now. I mean, you could find a job or a career in something that you love just by just networking and seeing what's out there and what's available. And you can fairly well apply for that with your master's in psychology. It's just the school part of it that if you are trying to go into, that certification will need to come behind that with working as a school counselor. And at first, mine wasn't that way. So when I went back to school to get my master's in family and child studies, I also had to go back in, do my OGAT, get my certification, and do that whole thing over again because, like others, I kind of took the easy route of I can have this degree and then I can do this. And then I'm like, I got a degree, I can go into the school. And they were like, you can, but I need you to have that certification. So I would definitely recommend to see about getting the certification. But as far as the juvenile, see what's out there. You have the master's in psychology. Just see what's out there.
Can I hop in there too? Right along with what April was saying, a lot of individuals don't. I at one point was going to do counseling as well, and I didn't realize that in order to do counseling, you had to get the certification, you had to be observed, and you had to have all this stuff in the back end that I unfortunately didn't have the resources to figure out when I was a young college student. And so if you're able to start thinking about a career path to where you have that entry-level degree, you can come on and work in the field where they'll help you get your certification, where they can help be your supervisor to get your LPC or your social work license. That is an ideal situation, right? Because a lot of places, when they do your supervision, they don't want to pay you for that. So find a place that will let you get your foot in the door and also help support you as you're getting those certifications.
Excellent.
Thank you. I had one more question also, and it's kind of like a broad question for anyone who can answer. I was listening to you guys mention like how including the families were very important also when working with children. So for families that don't know how to continue the work that you do with the children at the facilities, if they don't continue it at home, how do you differentiate, like making sure that they are still trying to do it themselves, even as young children too, because they're like, well, I learned this, at school, or I learned this at the clinic or wherever they go, and then they go home and it's not being kept and taught to them. So it's like, it's kind of hard for them to maintain. How do you guys continue to make sure that they still learning the things that that's been taught?
Great question. Great question, Ava.
Yes, that is a great question. And I'm glad that you asked that, is because one thing when we think about when kids come to our program that we just teach them and then they go home and then that's it. It's beyond the walls of the classroom. And so one of the things I want to tell you is that relationship that you build with families is the top tier thing you can do as an educator or any profession when you are teaching young children. Because when I got started, I didn't think it was as important because I wasn't a parent yet. But then when I became a parent, I knew the work was like, my child is one of many, right? And so then you can have, and I'm not saying this for anyone, but when you have an opportunity to build those relationships from day one, when you are introducing yourselves, that is where that communication happens. And that's when the magic happens, because we cannot do the work without families. And when you think about it, is, now that a lot of our families is very different and unique. Some of my families, I have grandparents, I have foster parents, I do have young parents, and all of that, and everyone is at a different level. But I always will say, we are here to help in any capacity to make sure that learning happens at home. One thing that came to mind as you were thinking about this is that if you do have like children that go to different daycare providers, like some children leave school and go to daycares, or educare and go to different daycares because of parents' work schedule, involve them too. Because like I said, it takes a village. And when you have children that maybe go from school to grandparents, involve grandparents in that conversation of saying, hey, you know what? I definitely have a message going out to mom, but we're working on letters, and we're talking about science and the great things about shadows and things like that. So if you ever have a conversation, please mention that. I think you have to be able to expand your reach outside the classroom in different capacities. And also, not only that, understanding the barriers. It may be transportation, it may be technology, but what are some other ways that we can involve parents where it's not between the hours of 8 to 3? Because honestly, you won't be able to get families in that time. And I'm a face-to-face person. So I would make sure that right now it's like dismissal. So I'm making sure I'm taking kids to the car and I'm saying, hey, how's your day going? Connecting with them. Hey, we got something coming up. Hey, we got this little homework activity I really want you to participate in. It's definitely that communication and building that foundation with families from the day one, I think. So that relationship is truly phenomenal if you can establish that.
And if I can add, Avantini, did I say it right? Okay. If I can add, I believe relationships is the foundation, but once you build that relationship, become a partner with the parents. So just we'll go to a doctor, the doctor diagnoses an issue, but a parent can't be the doctor because they don't have that skill set. So even though parents are a child's first teacher, they have their own viewpoint of what their child is learning, but you all will be the experts in that classroom. So it's going to be important that you partner with that parent and literally ask them, what do you want your child to learn? Invite them in your classroom, because we have usually an open door policy where parents can enter the classroom during the day, not to check up on the teachers necessarily, although some parents may, but it's really to expose them to the learning atmosphere so that they can go back at home and implement some of the things you're doing. But tangible things that we do, especially in a Head Start program, we do what we call parent meetings or parent connections. So there are learning activities that we will literally walk that parent through that happen in the classroom so that they can go home and do it. And we also have parent activities that they take home and they bring back to us. That's how we get funds from some of our Head Start programs, is the parent piece. So parents are crucial to the learning atmosphere.
I'd like to hop in here too, if I can, because I think the parent involvement piece is where early childhood is rocking it out. We succeed above public school systems all over the place in family involvement. And we need to be praising ourselves for the work that we're doing. I think all of our agencies that we've talked about utilize the same strategies, right? We want to meet the families where they're at. We have our own family engagement teams that try to provide resources and find different resources for the families, meet their needs, find out what, or maybe preventing them from being able to get to school. Let's get them some bus cards. Let's figure out how to get them to school, right? And the teachers are constantly building those relationships with the families. That doesn't happen in public school as often, right? And so that is an area where a family engagement is really important to you, and working with families, early childhood is really the place to go for that. And it's so amazing to hear how passionate all of you guys were talking about the family component, because I don't I have 2 children in elementary school, and I do not feel like the elementary school wants me to be a part of their program at all, right? I have to like knock on the door to get myself into the building. It's a proud thing to be a part of in early childhood, because we want families to come in all the time. We want you to be at our table. We want to invite you in. And we send our staff to learn more about working with families, right? We provide all these trainings and resources because we recognize the importance of that. One other thing I want to say too is it's really important to try to remove the early childhood jargon from your interactions with families, right? So I think a lot of family members get nervous when coming into educational setting. A lot of our families have had traumatic educational experiences. Coming into an educational facility might be nerve-wracking to them. And so making sure that we engage with them in ways that's comfortable and feels welcoming to them, and letting them know that, hey, did you just see what little Johnny did? He just picked up that little Cheerio. Look at how he's using his fingers, right? Like not using the technical terms, and making it really fun and enjoyable for them to observe and watch their little ones grow and develop.
Excellent, excellent advice.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Avon, for that question. We appreciate it. Is there anyone else in the chat who would like to ask the panel a question? Let me check and see if there's questions. Okay. All right. So there's no questions in the chat. Okay. So why don't we just do a quick closing remarks, if that's okay? And then we'll close out. All righty.
I just
So
want to say,
yes, go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. Is somebody going to go?
Oh,
Because y'all know I always have stuff to say. I just want to say thank you all so very much. Thank you to the panelists for taking time out to pour into our students. Students, I thank you for your attentiveness, these great questions that you've asked. And those of you, who are on and maybe, you're a little timid and not really sure how to frame your question. And I know for me, I was always insecure, like, is this going to sound dumb? I still think that to this day when I open my mouth, but I've learned that, you know what, I'm just going to roll with it. And if it sounds crazy, I'm going to have to massage it out and get the information that I need. So wherever you guys are on that spectrum, whether you felt confident to ask a question or maybe you're a little shy, if you need more information from any of our panelists, as you can see, they're all willing to share their expertise, and they have a lot more that they probably could have shared. So if you guys have things that you want to get from specific panelists, I'll be happy to connect you and to make sure that your questions get addressed. And as you go throughout your career and you're starting to nail down what you want to do, if there's other contacts that you need, please reach out to me and Mrs. Smith, and we'll help make those connections for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you're all dynamic. Dr. Young and I have heard your plans for yourself and how it involves young children. And just know that we're so proud of you, and we know you're going to reach those goals. But it's so nice to hear from this wonderful panel who's actually went through the footsteps to get through where they are right now. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with our students. We really, truly appreciate you all.
Hello, hi, this is Dr. Jackson. I want to quickly say thank you to our panelists. I'm the Vice President for Academic Affairs here at Langston University, but I also want to take the opportunity to thank our students for participating and to thank Dr. Young and Mrs. Smith for having the insight, the foresight to create opportunities like this for our students. The theory is great. Working with the children is important. That's what draws you to the profession. But hearing from professionals in the field and seeing people who've walked the path to where they hope to go is an invaluable experience. So I wanted to make sure I included the thank you to them as well for coordinating this.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jackson. All righty. Well, would everyone please be safe? We're going to turn over to Dr. Young to close out.
Okay, y'all know, listen, I do not want to close this out. This has been amazing. Don't tell our other panelists, but I think by far, this may be my most favorite one. And not because the other information presented wasn't great. Everything that we've had and all the experts have come in their own way and they've done a great job. But I think this one is the one that I think the students, you guys have connected most to, because it's really like, okay, what am I going to do when I get out? Even if you're afraid to ask that question, I think sometimes it's in the back of your mind because, you know, here pretty soon, your lease is going to be up at Langston. They're going to say, you cannot go here anymore for whatever reason. And so everybody has that what's next question in their head. And the panelists, you guys have done a phenomenal job of really being able to share real life experiences, your transparency in terms of, you know, how you selected your major, your career path, and even what you have next in terms of your future goals. Some of you have been really sure, like, I know this is what's next for me. And some of you are like, well, I didn't get that rich husband, so let me figure something out. And, you know, Lindsay was really transparent and saying, I honestly don't know. And that's okay. And that's the one thing I want students to be able to take away is it's okay if you don't know. The one thing that I've heard over and over again, if I could just try to wrap this up all into one, is the relationships matter in and outside of the classroom with families and with your city of network or your circle of network. These relationships matter, and the relationships that you guys are building in our FCS department, with the faculty, with the staff and administration here at Langston, as well as when you go out, those relationships are going to really help propel you to the next thing, whatever that looks like. And don't be afraid to take a step that, you know, you're kind of wobbling into. For me, I say, you know, pray about it, seek your higher power, you know, meditate or whatever it is that you do to get clarity, and then go ahead and take a step, even if you're a little nervous, and know that it's okay to fail. And, you know, if something happens along the way and you need guidance, we're always here for you. And our panelists, I think, would also be here for you as well. So thank you all for being here, for sharing. And we look forward to seeing you at our next session. Our next session will be April 6th. And we're going to hear from Dr. Chris Amaral, who is on the NACI Advisory Committee and several organizations. He also leads one of the schools at Educare for the Tulsa Educare Network or organization. And so he's going to talk to us about developmentally appropriate practice. And so we hope that you're able to join us. These videos will be made available. We've recorded them, and so they're available. If you miss it, we'll certainly send that information out to you. But thank you all for being here. Thank you, Mrs. Smith, for your help and your guidance. Thank you, Dr. Jackson, for your continuous support of our program. And thank you, students and panelists. Thank you, everybody. If you're on here, I thank you. Have a good one.
All right, everyone be safe and have a wonderful rest of your week. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
coming.
Thank you guys. Have a nice evening.
Oh, you too. You too.
Thanks.
Take care of that beautiful baby. This whole
I will.
I will.
Oh,
Kayla.
beautiful.
Kayla, that's your name?
Yes.
Okay, it's only crazy until it happens. Don't forget that. Whatever you're dreaming, it's only crazy until it happens. I really believe in you. Brought tears to my eyes when you spoke. I wholeheartedly believe in you. Please get my number from Dr. Young. If you ever need anything, I am here on the sideline rooting you on.
Oh, that's so
You're
wonderful.
welcome.
That is so wonderful. And that's what it's about, right? Like you said.
Yeah.
That's touching. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
You too. Be
You
safe.
too. Oh gosh, look at that. Oh my Lord. Isn't that something?